goddamn bodies are getting in the way. There we go. Okay. That went a lot better that time. So I just need to stay to one side so I can only bait out one tentacle. That's how that works. Okay. I get it, I get it. But it's still dumb that it's a timed phase. And then you have to juggle between your oxygen tanks. But yeah, guys, as a whole, hydroponics was a very weak part of the game, and I'm not looking forward to what the rest of the game is going to be like. Because if hydroponics was going to be as lengthy as it was and just be filled with a lot of missed potential and just dragged out scenarios, then most likely the rest of the game will follow suit. So that's not going to be very good. But given that you know, I've been rejuvenated thanks to starting this the next day, I might as well just talk a bit about my thoughts on Dead Space 1 in particular. So like, Dead Space 1, I mentioned many times, is a very boring game, and I still stand by that statement. Just going through it, and then just going through the very awkward controls, and just how much the enemies just tank your shots like crazy, and all that kind of stuff. It definitely becomes a very stale experience after a while. Or not really after a while, just after a very short time. Like, the whole sense of fatigue really kicks in very soon with Dead Space 1, and because the pacing on that game is just not very good. Whereas with Dead Space 2, you can actually stomach a lot of that game, and I feel like because of the improvements they made to the mechanics, it makes Dead Space 2 a lot more fun to actually go through. And I'm probably already mentioned this before anyway, but like, the story of Dead Space 1... based on how lacking the characters were and like the other things as well, you know, it wasn't that engaging. I feel like when Dead Space 2 came out, some of these story elements got a lot more interesting. And I do feel like with Dead Space 2, the environments are a lot more varied than Dead Space 1, and they don't get so boring. Like, the dated graphics of Dead Space 1 do make the areas feel kind of samey with each other. But Dead Space 2 doesn't have this problem. The areas are a lot more interesting, at least in the earlier chapters. I do feel like at a certain point, the areas start to feel kind of similar to Dead Space 1. And so that's why they do feel lacking in the later parts of Dead Space 2. And also with the way they design certain enemy encounters later on in Dead Space 2. It can feel pretty unintelligent in Dead Space 2 sometimes. That was very close. I had a feeling that was going to happen because I recall a similar sequence from Dead Space 2 where you fought a horde of necromorphs inside of an elevator. But at least it wasn't a horde, there was just 3 necromorphs, and without stasis, that sequence can be very tricky. I also need to experiment a bit more with the melee. I mean, I did experiment a bit already, but there might be some utility for it. I mean, and I need to understand how the stuns work as well, when I'm actually trying to use melee effectively. Oh. Are these detonator mines? This wasn't in Dead Space 1. No, it's just a laser grid. Oh, and they turned off for some reason. Whoa! Wow, did you see that? The fucking soft lock locked onto a point that was not the infector. So I threw my explosive canister, like, off-center from the goddamn infector, and I nearly missed. That was stupid. But it's a good thing that kind of intelligent use of the explosive canister was promoted just then. From here, a lot of this is new territory for me, because I haven't played Dead Space 1's later chapters in a very long time. Because of how bored I get with the game. Oh, shit! 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 Get off me! Wow. You see what I mean? When I said I might be encountering swarmers? That's why I need the flamethrower. But they caught me by surprise. Who is this Jacob Temple? And I honestly wonder if they took that name from Dead Space 1 and just made that, like, Jacob's name in the Callisto Protocol with his first name. Almost reminds me of that file in Resident Evil 5, and I think this was in Chapter 5, but there was a name called, like, Ethan W, and a lot of people assumed that Ethan Winters was a former researcher or something, and they just took that name from that file, and that became the name of Ethan Winters. There is something I definitely need to experiment with the Leaper. I'm trying to grab this guy's tail, but it will not prioritize the right thing. Luckily for me, I did sever his needle. Or his pincer. I don't know why I keep saying needle. The smallest amount of ammunition really sells for a lot, which is cool. I've also noticed that the dead bodies of the enemies don't seem to disappear when you go between areas. At least for most areas. I think in certain cases the bodies do disappear. But it's good that they don't disappear, because if there are any leftover blades, you can use them. No, it'll probably expose his stomach. If you have a single necromorph left, you might as well just try to stomp him. Because the stomp can be pretty good. You know, I do wonder, that's an interesting thought. Depending on the tier of the enemy, like, the Pregnant is a high tier necromorph, but will this blade do a lot more damage because of that? No, doesn't seem like it. Whoa! It's still so bizarre that the actual blades don't dismember limbs. What is he doing? What does more damage? Does actually meleeing the enemy on the ground do more damage if you just do it twice? Or does stomping just do more damage? That'll be interesting to test out. What the fuck? Oh, he's armored and I somehow hit his leg. That's bullshit. Wow, lingering hitbox, that's bullshit. Yeah, the armored ones are so bullshit. Because somehow the hit detection of your melee can collide with their legs. That is bullshit. Oh, I know this room.
The administrator's rig should be in the processing control room, but the control room door can't open till gravity is restored, but the system won't reset the gravity while there's loose debris.
At least the processing beam's still running. Stand by.
Look at that. How is he still alive after that? That I can understand. With that lurker's HP. Oh shit! God, I love lurkers. As long as they're paired with other necromorphs that aren't bullshit like the Leapers, and you use their blades against the lurkers, this can be really fun. See? It's the stupid peeling system on his arm. How the fuck does that hit me? And he... Wow. I don't understand how they could just make that mistake with the melee. Like, in their attempt to somehow make a more organic version of a HP system for the enemies, they just fucked up the melee so much. Oh, there you are. Whoa! Look at that. Leapers would never survive an explosive canister like that on Dead Space 2. Ever. But Dead Space 1's explosive canisters were just garbage. And it seems this game's trying to capture that, rather than actually taking influences from the good Dead Space games. When I say good Dead Space games, I mean only one good Dead Space game. Whoa! I couldn't fucking move. Oh my god. Ugh. Also, from what I've noticed, I just realized, when I took off the head of the normal necromorphs, it didn't go into that blind state of just swinging, which is very odd. I shouldn't be in this spot, I need to move. They should be coming through this doorway in a moment. Yep, there's the one. And he somehow didn't get his limbs dismembered from that. What was that? Did I use a blade? That did not look like a blade just then. But, you know, it's stuff like that, with having to constantly just restart and just understanding the enemies, because they can be very bullshit a lot of the times in the original Dead Space. It's stuff like that that just leads to a very draining experience most of the time, because that game is so clunky and badly designed in a lot of parts. Goddamn slasher's stuck on me. Good. It's a good thing I saved that explosive. That'll definitely come in handy. If he grabs the right thing. I don't know why he's having trouble grabbing this. Oh, Kinesis. The grip in Callisto Protocol never had this issue. Although, I mean, it was there, but not to such a heavy degree. Oh, come on, that should be a one-shot kill. What the hell? It's a stupid suicide bomber. The way they just set the HP for the enemies doesn't make any sense. Oh, hey, Dallas! I just realized that's the name of a character from the original Alien. Everyone remembers Dallas. I wonder if they just put that in as a reference to, the first Alien. Uh-oh. God, I love that mines can kill these things. About 3 infectors in this one room? Are you for real? Wow. Look, wow, that didn't even touch me. Whoa. Looks like there's a Guardian. Oh, an explosive canister, so I can use those. Why can't it just be a hive mind effect? Like, when the Guardian dies, the babies die, but they still persevere after the Guardian dies. I've always found the Guardian to be one of the worst enemies ever made in Dead Space. They've always been a bad enemy. And it's just because of those stupid babies that spawn. And in this remake, they just seem a lot more accurate than usual. Not to mention the hitboxes on their tentacles are pretty bad. As much as I do appreciate the idea of enemy diversity in the Dead Space games, a lot of the enemies that Dead Space introduced were pretty bad. That still doesn't excuse the Callisto Protocol's lack of enemy variety. Oh, I know this part. This is in the original Dead Space. This will probably be bad. Whoa! Oh. Well, that wasn't so bad. I remember that sequence being very bad in Dead Space 1, but they reduced the number of enemies. So is the marker actually, intentionally, like, is it actually creating these, hallucinations to get people to, help it with conversions? It must be that. But that would imply the marker is a living, thing, but it's not. It's a alien device that emits a signal that induces psychosis in individuals and reanimates dead corpses. But where the infector comes into play, it's very confusing. What's the whole point of the infector if the marker can just reanimate the corpses itself into necromorphs. I've never understood that. Because that would imply the necromorph contagions a virus, when it's not. And there are gonna be enemies I have to fight here. Oh, shh. What the hell? The stasis affected my, Yeah, that was, like, did you really see that? Like, the stasis affected the slasher's pincer somehow. How's that possible?
This is allowed again.
What the hell? Oh, fuck off! Oh my god. Memorizing these enemy placements is gonna be a pain in the ass to do. But so far I would definitely say that, oh. How the fuck am I missing? Okay, what is going on right now? These enemies are supposed to die from one shot. And they seem to die from one shot when they expose their tentacles, but that wasn't the case before. Oh, shit. Look at that auto-aim, that was really helpful. God damn it, I can't fucking see! Once again, the dishonest audio, it made it seem like he was above me when he was actually next to me. Like, it's trial and error stuff like that that really brings Dead Space down in quality compared to Resident Evil. Oh, right, I remember this! You do get to actually, jump onto that asteroid and then, walk around on it to get outside. You have to disable the tethers, as is indicated right here. There's 2 on the inside and 2 on the outside. Oh, shit. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. How good is this? Not very good. You know, if that was Dead Space 1 or 2, that would have hit me. The explosions that the exploders did had tremendous phantom range. It was really bullshit. But at the same time, when you use those explosives, it was very easy to hit the enemies because of that phantom range. Look at him not flinching. Well, that's one of the armored ones. I don't know if that guy has more health than the standard necromorph. Or if it's just his leg that's armored. Yeah, the melee on this game is garbage, and I don't know why I'm not getting consistent stuns like before. You could never use the vent covers like that. You could never use these fans as impalement weapons. So that's a nice change. You have to use stasis on these.
Figure out a plan.
The asteroid cell 5.
Whoa! These are black leapers. Okay. At least throwing bodies on this game has a bit more of a purpose compared to Dead Space 1. Let me slow this down. And I should be able to get outside right here. Alright, where are the tethers? Okay, there's one. And I believe there are lurkers around this area, so I gotta be careful. Wow. No idea how I managed to do that. There we go.
Payload 8772 is no longer tethered. Untrained personnel must leave the mining bay immediately.
I can use that. What, he's still alive? How does it not instantly kill them like the normal needles? I gotta get back inside. This goddamn ring's in the way. There we go.
Exiting zero gravity.
Alright, so that's the end of that. Wait, what? Why are you back? We weren't introduced to you.
The quarantine shit with that hunter there, the system can't lift the lockdown.
Override the manual door release.
I'll try. Damn it, the explosion's right half the circuit. Almost there. Hold it off. I got it. Get the manual release.
Wait, that dismembered him. Why did that dismember him? Yet
Is ready.
Damn it. Try the door now.
Quarantine lifted.
that was very weird. Oh, come on, games. Don't do this to me now. Get the fuck out of the way. Fucking collision. That's the typical Dead Space collision right there. Oh, it's meant to be scary, this and that. No, it's fucking stupid. Makes no sense. It's too artificial. It's complete laziness on the developers' parts when they can't even make the collision boxes for the enemies match their own modeling. It's such a load of shit. See, look! I can't fucking move! Even though there's plenty of room for me to fucking move!
Power restored.
How is that good? Oh, shit. I'm not enjoying this part of the game. I don't think it's as interesting as the previous areas. I think this is also like the same point in Dead Space 1 where the fatigue just really starts to set in. I don't really know why people say Dead Space 1 is a masterpiece. It really isn't. Like, compared to Resident Evil 7, Dead Space 1 is nothing. Or compared to Resident Evil 4, I mean, even though Resident Evil 4 does have some bad pacing moments and bad sequences, like starting from Chapter 3 is really where the game quality diminishes. And I should know, because I did replay those sequences, and I did walkthroughs of Resident Evil 4. So I know exactly what I'm saying when I'm saying, like, a lot of the sequences in Resident Evil 4 outstayed their welcome. And a lot of the sequences were pretty stale. I mean, when you look at the water room area from Chapter 3, that's the worst room in Resident Evil 4 by far. Then you have the 2 Garrador fight, then you have the 2 El Gigante fight, then you have Salazar.
Now arriving at the bridge.
And certain sequences of Chapter 5 dragged out. Resident Evil 4, it is a masterpiece, I understand, but like there are sequences that are bad. But Resident Evil 7 never had this issue because it understood what it was trying to be, it understood its pacing, it understood how to deliver creative sequences, well-designed enemy placements. But Resident Evil 4 is lesser in that department, and apropos to this, Dead Space is on the same level as Resident Evil 4. Maybe even less, though, because the mechanics are not as good as Resident Evil 4's mechanics. And why the original Dead Space 1 tried to implement controls similar to Resident Evil 4 when they're 2 different kinds of games entirely, that just doesn't make any sense. Because Dead Space at least allows you to move while aiming, Resident Evil 4 doesn't, so the control scheme matches that perfectly. Like, aiming and pressing X to reload, that makes a lot of sense in Resident Evil 4. But in a game like this, where you have the ability to move and shoot, it should be dedicated to one specific button press. But it's not like that in Dead Space, which is so weird. Another one?
Hazardous anomaly detected. Quarantine activated.
At least this room is big enough to accommodate this many enemies. Oh shit, Leap. I want to test the flamethrower out. Oh wow. The flamethrower is really good against Leapers. And what the hell am I stuck on? Wow. Don't sleep on the flamethrower, it is really good against Leapers. I doubt the original flamethrower was that good. If you're referring to Dr. Mercer, that makes sense. But of course, there were those unitologists we saw earlier in that feed that Hammond sent. Yeah, you've got to be very fast, because if you wait until his tentacles recede back in, the mines will not kill him. So these Guardians actually drop ammo. In the original Dead Space, and in all the Dead Space games, they always dropped semiconductors. Or some kind of treasure that you could actually sell.